So I was living in San Francisco. It's like the mid-'90s. So you didn't have to be a tech startup millionaire to live there, but it was still expensive. So to cut on cost, I'd moved in with a friend of mine into a no-bedroom apartment. So the two of us, we had, as you came in, we had a pretty good-sized living room. There was like a walk-in closet that he put his bed in, and it kind of stuck out. You couldn't close the doors. And then there was a bathroom right when you came in. And then there was like a hallway. There was like a foyer, which I always called foyer to make it sound better. And then there was the kitchen, which was like 3 by 5. You could put like this and touch the walls on either side. And it was a decent apartment. So he slept in his bed that stuck out. And then my bed was a piece of foam that I got from the upholstery place for like $20. And I slept in the foyer. I had a window that went out to an alley. And then there was a set of windows out by the living room. And you could see the panhandle of Golden Gate Park, which was nice. So we were in a nice spot. It was a great apartment for like one person, like a small person with like 2 outfits, like a mug, 3 plates, maybe like 1 pan. But for 2 guys, it was really not quite that much space. The only reason it worked, because neither of us are neat people, we're both kind of slobs, so we were fine with each other that way. There was no awkward conversation about there's a place for everything and everything in its place. So stuff was just kind of everywhere. And then the other thing that made it work was we worked opposite schedules. So I worked at a movie theater. I would go in every day at 4, work till midnight, go out for drinks with friends of mine, come home at 2 or 3. Scott worked at a Barnes & Noble in Oakland, so he would get up and leave at like 8 in the morning, work 10 to 6, come home at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So we rarely saw each other. We saw each other on Saturday morning. We overlapped for like 2 or 3 hours. So it actually worked pretty well. But it was not surprising that someone broke into our apartment and neither of us realized it. So I came home from work one night at 3 o'clock in the morning, hammered because I'd been at the bar, and my foyer window is open, right, pretty good ways, and my sheet's gone. And I'm kind of like, well, I don't know where my sheet is, but I'm exhausted. I'm going to lay on my piece of foam. I close the window. I gather sweaters and sandwich wrappers, whatever I can get to make a sheet, and I go to bed. I get up the next day. Scott's gone. I go to work all day. I was thinking while I was working, I was like, it's funny my sheet's not in the apartment. But again, I was like, everything I have to worry about, I'm not going to let that really cloud my day. So I didn't worry about it. I get home again, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, go to sleep on my piece of foam. And then I get up the next day, and when I get to work the next day, the phone rings, and neither of us had phone. Like, we didn't have cell phones. I think he had a pager, but I was like, it's kind of awkward to page somebody. So we didn't communicate much. So he calls me at work, which is a little unusual, and he's like, hey, have you seen my backpack? And I was like, have you seen my sheet? And he's like, have you seen my watch? And I was like, you have a watch? And I was like, why did you leave my window open? And he's like, I would have to step on your bed to open that window. I didn't open your window. So then we figured it out. And somewhat at the same time, we were like, we were robbed. Actually, he said we were robbed. And again, this is on the second next day, right? So he says we were robbed. I was on my way to saying, we have a ghost. But I realized, as he was saying robbed, that's probably really what happened. So I tried to switch midstream. So I was like, we have a robbed. That's what. Right on, Scott. We were robbed. So we figured out, somebody came through the alley, opened my window, came in, they grabbed my sheet. We heard from other people, robbers do that. You grab a sheet and then you can pack everything in the sheet and you leave. And apparently they just came through the foyer. His backpack and watch were sitting right next to the door. Probably heard something, got spooked, and ran out, right? So we didn't think a lot about it, but the landlord let everybody in the building know. It was like best practice. Hey, we had a break-in on the first floor. So people started to come by and ask us what happened. So this couple comes by from upstairs, and they're like, can we talk about what happened, how'd they get in? And I was just going to let them see. Scott and I were both there Saturday morning, of course. I was just going to show them the foyer window and how the person came in and left. So they come in, though, and they look at, like, the rest of the apartment, right? And it was like somebody looking at a crash site. And this woman was like, oh, my God. And it was exactly as it had been before the robber, right? Robber touched nothing. Like, cigarettes everywhere, clothes all over the place, like total disaster. She's like, I cannot believe what they did to your apartment. And my friend Scott, without missing a beat, he's like, oh, I know, it's crazy. He's like, we will never get this back like it was. Never. So then we spent the rest of the morning stopping anybody who would come by. You got to see what happened. You got 5, come here. Look at and they would all come in, they'd be like, oh, God. So we caught everybody we could. And then for the people we couldn't catch, to show them what had happened, we left them a note, a warning saying, be sure you lock your windows, otherwise someone might come in and steal your sheet. Thank you.